hates me. Because, like, the second I start streaming, it goes to the shitter. But I'm gonna be somewhere where there's, like, no wind soon. Or where I have some wind protection. Let's see. I just do this for now. So today I was gonna talk about a couple of different topics, I guess. It's pretty much in the middle of the night here, but I'm outside walking. And you're probably thinking, aren't you worried you'd get stabbed? Aren't you afraid of walking in the night? Not really. It's not really like I'm living in a safe area or whatever. It's more that the likelihood of me getting stabbed here is kind of unlikely. Anyhow, thanks for tuning in already. You're not gonna like the wind. Holy shit, I need to get to that place quick. Trees are moving and everything. Streaming at night. Tutorial on how to stay safe at night. No, it seems like the internet is pretty terrible right now as well. For some reason. Should have everything on that is needed. Anyhow, my idea right now is I was thinking about making a video about 4 different stages of knowledge, of understanding of the world. I'm currently working on that kind of system, kind of like an academic text, but not academic. I hate academic writing because it's pretty boring. But I'm trying to make a model for different trains of thought, so to say, and different types of understanding of the world. So I have the first 3 stages kind of clear, which is like stage 1 is your immediate surrounding, your knowledge and your understanding of your immediate surrounding, and all that matters to you is your immediate surrounding. So, generally speaking, you'd put people who have like extreme autism there because they tend to focus on themselves, be extremely self-centered, while they don't really care about other shit that goes on elsewhere. Meanwhile, stage 2 is where most people would be at, which is your immediate surrounding and the people that are close to you, the groups that you hang out with and whatever, and their opinions, and you try to fit. So that's kind of like the second stage where you have like a understanding of your surroundings, so to say, and the people closest to you, their surroundings to some extent. While on stage 3 you have a broader understanding of the world that goes beyond what anyone you may know might think. So that could mean that maybe the people in your closest friend circle are communists or Nazis, but you yourself are neither. You see things from a much wider perspective, and you think that, well, one ideology doesn't have all the answers. And so you start to form your own opinions and own thoughts on each and every matter. So that makes it quite difficult to come up with the fourth stage, because the third one kind of covers everything, but I'm trying to come up with that. It's kind of like playing 4D chess with yourself, but well, not really. Maybe I'm just being an idiot. I don't know. I'm not that arrogant to call myself an absolute genius or anything. But yeah, about the different topics I wanted to talk to you about today. If we're making a vlog, it's like talking about the day and what I've gone through and how things differ from like every day for me. Like no day is really the same. Well, in some ways they are, but sorry, the wind. I'm gonna try to let's see if I can go into the woods. Actually, no, that's not a good idea. That, if anywhere, is where I'm gonna get stabbed or killed by an animal. Probably not gonna get killed by an animal. There are no bears around here, and no other animal I think could kill me at this point. I think I'm strong enough to handle a boar fast enough. And I don't think there are any other especially dangerous animals around here, or insects for that matter. Although they are disgusting, and I mean, disgust could get you killed. Like if there are some really like disgusting disgusting insects and you move in a certain way, you might impale yourself onto a log or something. I know, unlikely, but funny to keep in mind. Anyhow, shit, sorry. Now I need to do this again. Holy shit! Where should I even go? The place where I was intending to go isn't gonna work, because the wind just changed directions. Supposedly. Anyhow, I just... There we go. Fucking hiding behind a rock and also impaling myself. Lovely. Although not in a brutal way. Okay, so today I've felt like so many different things. Felt quite depressed, lonely. I mean, I've also tried to have fun and do some cringe shit. Like I made a song and shit. A lot of people don't realize that to some people there's like a lot more to life. Hey dude. Oh yeah, Maslow's pyramid. Yeah, that's the one with different. Yeah, that's true. Like the first stage there is like food, starvation, sleep, and then the second stage is, yeah. It's that one that you're talking about, I guess. I'd assume. And eventually you care about more things as the desires within the first ones are completed, or that you get what you need in those ways. Yeah. You fulfill your needs, right? You fulfill the needs, yeah. But yeah, like what I was saying was that there's like, to my life there's much more than just cringe, and like I'm not the type of guy that just jokes around all the time. Like the reason I joke around or try to help people is because or one of the reasons is because I'm haunted by my own demons, and I want to do something that's meaningful, because that's kind of the only way I can fight back, you know? So you could say that I'm helping others for my own selfish needs, potentially. Then again, regardless of if it's selfish or not, it's something that works very well for others, I guess. And meanwhile, I don't really care what anyone thinks either. So I don't think there's any real problem with that for anyone else, or any like negative aspects. Like maybe for me, but not for anyone else. So I think it's fine. I think I honestly, I'm not entirely sure of how to continue right now. Like, I'm sitting in such a ridiculous position, and it's so dark, so you can't really see it. But there's like this rock behind me right now, and if I go up a little bit, or if I move the phone right now, you hear the wind. It's a huge difference. So if someone comes here, they're just gonna call me retarded or become terrified because I'm sitting here like a fucking creep. And I don't like sitting in places like these for too long because, insects. And now the wind got worse, and I don't want to torture you with the wind. It's like, let's see. Where can I go that would be better than here, but like more convenient? Let's see. I'm trying to think of like steep hills or whatever. I guess there's one spot. It's gonna take like 1 minute, so bear with me. So yeah, this is gonna be ridiculous. You should lower the sound. It's gonna get windy if I do this in a way that's slightly more convenient. Jeez, man. It's been like this all day almost. Like first it was like raining really hard. It's extreme wind. Why I started doing YouTube is because, well, actually, I'm not sure if you can hear me well, because it's getting worse. Alright, let's go up here. Alright, I guess, jeez man, it's changing directions all the time. Oh well, maybe this. Okay, well, okay, great. You can hear me fine. Well, I'll tell you then. I started doing YouTube because, well, first I wanted to just like make fun videos and whatever, and then see what happened. Like, if I succeed or something, it would be fun. But even if I don't, I'm doing something I'm enjoying. I guess I wanted to make others laugh, and I also wanted to succeed on it. So I think that is one reason to, and then I also thought that, well, YouTube is one way I could potentially reach out and make the world a better place. So I wanted to at least try that. Try anything I could. Like, I tried to go out with cardboard as well. That said, like, is there anything I can do? I think it roughly translates, because it was in Swedish, it roughly translates to, how are you feeling? Do you want to talk about it? Because in Sweden, the mental health is hasn't been like very, very good in a long time. Actually, I think I could stay there. I think I found a spot where I can stand. It should be kind of protected from different areas. Okay, I guess this is fine. Well, so I have. It's like a desperation to reach out and do something meaningful, I guess. Like whether, like... Because I was kind of running out of ways to solve my own life, I guess. So I wanted to do a bit of YouTube to at least reach out and solve my life that way, and be able to solve... Like, I do what I think is meaningful, and then solve others that way. Ah, fucking hell. Insects. So many. No, I honestly don't care that much about money. Of course, in our society, money is definitely required, but for me, I've never seen the need to get rich. Of course, it would be nice to get rich and get a mansion, because it feels like, oh, it would be peaceful to like have your own library where you can wake up in the morning, you can go to the library, or you can go to the gardens and just relax, breathe, just be yourself and know that everything will be okay. Of course, financial independence is amazing, but I personally, I wouldn't mind living in a temple. Like, if you know kind of like what a dojo looks like in Japan, or a temple, and you know the futons and everything, and you basically lay on the ground with a little bit of a light mattress, and living cheaply would be living on noodles and the occasional like beef or vegetables. Like, I don't mind that kind of life. So It's more that I would personally like to make a difference in the world. And also I want to do what I enjoy, and what I'm good at. Like, my only skills throughout life have been my creative skills and my emotional skills. So, I've been pretty useless in other ways. I'm good at helping others fix their problems and seeing the glitch in their own emotional system, but I'm not that good at, like, most other things. Like, the realm where I'm good at is creativity and emotion, which is why I picked up piano and started writing novels and stuff, which I also kind of failed with. And comedy is a way to entertain people. And then again, I'm not really afraid of what people might think. So, like, I've never really cared about, like, standing out or whatever, or being frozen out of the group, because I always thought that it's better to make a few good friends than to make a ton of friends that are just fake. So, like, deeper connections and stuff. So that's the type of person I am. And yeah, useless, like I said, in many ways. University. Yeah, I studied psychology for a bit, and currently I'm studying social work. Okay, actually I'm gonna sit here, or stay here for a bit. I think this area is fine. Except it's not light. If I lean, no, too many insects. Shit. Well, I just stand. Yeah, I studied psychology and information science, like I said. So I studied to become a librarian. First I studied to become a psychologist, but the thing in Sweden is that it's so politicized. So it was very, like, generally I'd say the ends justify the means, but it was very difficult at that point, because it felt like I had to be something I was not. Like I had to pretend, like I had to lie, like I don't know, I didn't want to contribute to the way things were. Like, you weren't allowed to have different opinions or anything, and everything was just so politicized. Like, even in biological psychology, basically they started talking about social justice and shit. Like, we're talking about the biological aspect now. So that was just, that went too far. That went too far for me. Because we were supposed to learn about the topics and shit, and it just felt like indoctrination, not education. So I started studying now recently social work half a year ago, or a little more than half a year ago. Yeah. So, and social work basically, it's about taking care of the elderly and the mentally challenged, and also physically challenged people who cannot really take care of themselves. But I do not feel like that's enough. I don't know. I feel like it could make a slight difference there, but I don't. Yeah, true. Yeah, that is true. There are some universities I think that are okay, but it's yeah. Generally, it would be like computer science universities or whatever. That's what I've heard, or mechanics, because it's like generally 95% men, and I guess it's very hard for the propaganda to flourish in a meme culture or whatever. Like when they start talking about it and everyone in the class is like, get into the kitchen, and it's like, okay, well, good luck forcing the propaganda into these kids' heads. Or, well, kids, it's not even kids anymore. I'm talking about adults. But yeah, private schools is kids as well. Yeah. True. But then people work in such a sad way, regardless. Whether you're left or right or wherever you stand, it's just people overall are kind of work like sheep. So although I want to help people, I'm still a misanthrope. I'm not a big fan of mankind, and I see things like from a very realistic standpoint, and the way we adapt to fit in and the way we push things away and form groups, I think is generally wrong. Or I think it's wrong when it leads to negative consequences. Of course, when we're innovative or creative and we create things and accomplish things together that benefit mankind, then yeah, of course, that is amazing. But the entire group against group thing is generally not about that, about improvement. It's generally about one side winning and the other side losing. And that is something that doesn't... I mean, sometimes it benefits if it's, like I said, innovation and all that. But now it's just to destroy the lives of the opposite side, and as a result, mankind gets worse. So it's not that good. It's terrible, actually. So I definitely want to fight against that, but I don't have the power to fight against that. But I do what I can. Like, I talk to people privately and try to help them achieve meaningful lives. I mean, the thing with my standpoint, why it works, is... Do you know how to help people? Like, the basic concept of helping someone else? Like, what you need to be able to help others? It's one very, very basic thing, and the rest you could practice. Well, maybe not everything. Of course, there are people who are gonna be more adept at helping others, but there's one basic thing you need. Okay, so the thing you need that is most important when you're helping others is understanding. So you basically need to be able to understand the other person, how the other person functions, and like what kind of makes them tick, or what they want. Like, if you do not understand the other person, you cannot really help them, because then you might end up harming them more than helping them. So, I mean, that is also one of the reasons why the saying, the road to hell is paved with good intentions. If you don't understand someone and you try to help them, it could be the case that it could lead to very, very negative consequences. Yeah. Which is, yeah, so that is one problem, but that is something I personally have learned to overcome quite easily. So I tend to be able to help people kinda find what they want. Not always, but I think it's personality and things I'm interested in. Maybe, I don't know how that became so easy for me, but yeah, exactly. It's a stream, so I'm saying things, I guess. But yeah, you're right. You're definitely right. What they need and not what they want. Yeah, exactly. And like there are things that generally that people need, and then there are things that some people need that are like out of the, let's say, the normal, outside the norm. So let's see if I can think of an example. Well, I could use myself as an example, but that's a pretty boring example. So let's try to think outside the box here. Oh, I'm just getting these really stupid examples, like, well, imagine a physicist, and imagine a construction worker, but that's not personality types, that's just work titles and different intellectual capacities, and, well, whatever. Starting to hate myself. Brain, please work. I'm going to use myself as an example. Okay, well, let's just use the average person. let's start with the average person. Generally, what does the average person need? The average person, like, you could think of it as Maslow's stairwell there, kind of. Needs food to survive, and then, I suppose, family would be quite useful. Like finding some kind of love, or at least some kind of compatibility with the opposite sex and create a family. That is generally meaningful enough to keep most people going. Like that tends to be quite motivating, or doing some work that they find meaningful. One of the two, or both preferably. But most people can settle with a life like that. But then we also have the more like special cases where people, or not necessarily always special, but people want to be able to be themselves, but in certain situations they're forced to act in a certain way, kind of like I said with the university. So they're forced to throw away their own personalities in order to please others, or to be accepted by others. Because generally we have this will to be accepted, to fit into our surroundings, which often harms us more than it does good in today's society. It used to be a very useful thing for survival, but right now it's kind of killing our innovation and our chances to be different. Or for most people, some people decide to stand out and say that, you know what, fuck this group, the group is retarded, I'm gonna be myself and I'm gonna do the right thing. And then sometimes they succeed, sometimes they end up failing. Yeah. You could potentially say that. See, this is kind of one thing I do a lot, which is taking in someone else's thoughts or perspective into my own and trying to build the world around it, and then trying to fix the bugs and glitches in it. Let's see. Yeah, for all people, to just have a meaningful addiction, it's not necessarily something that keeps all people going. Because then you could potentially, then it would be so easy that, like, let's say, no, actually, that would be a bad example. Give me a second. I was gonna say something about cannabis, but that doesn't fit into the... I'm being stupid. Well, I mean, depending on how you phrase it, your example could be taken to the extreme of, being correct pretty much all the time. So that is, no, I know, but the addiction, like doing something meaningful, because then, although I wouldn't agree with you on the, calling it an addiction, because I'd say there should be something more meaningful, but then you could also say, as a counter, that, well, you could make that more meaningful thing an addiction. So you could potentially call love an addiction, or spending time with your family an addiction. You could call anything an addiction. Yes, exactly. So that is why your example is pretty... It is... You can argue for a lot with that example. I like it. I'm trying to see where you can, where it kind of falls apart, where you can no longer call it an addiction. Because okay, there are different perspectives, but you could potentially, with one perspective, always call it an addiction, I think. Because I'm not seeing... it's an interesting way to see it. I haven't taken that on before. I'm actually kind of hyped. That's really good to hear. Holy shit. Yeah, it is vague, but it is... Of course, there are weaknesses with it, but it's something, I'm trying to, it's vague, and it's, it has, a weak line, but you can't break through it, kinda. At least, or maybe I'm just being stupid right now, because I'm not finding the way, but I think I like it. Sorry about the wind again. I'm gonna try try to turn it off. Calling the laws of the universe, please call off the wind. Mayday, mayday. I'm gonna be home soon, so it's gonna... no wind at home. Nope, the apartment hasn't blown away. Yay. Okay, let's see. The best way to spot is to find another addiction. Yeah. I mean, that works for... it works for some people. Like, I'll give you an example of someone quitting smoking for a different reason that isn't an addiction. So that is, he was going to have a kid within like 3 months, and so he decided to stop smoking for the sake of the kid. So he decided to do it to do the right thing, to not poison his kid with smoke. So that wasn't solved by addiction, that was solved by a will. But you could potentially say it's an addiction to spend time with your family and an addiction to... But then again, like you said, that's pretty vague. So that is the type of shit I wanted to get into, like to counter it, but I wasn't sure because I don't think it breaks it apart completely. I like it, I definitely. Different things, even if it's not like super vast or anything, I do enjoy like taking on any other perspective. No, exactly. It will be fine. Okay, we got. Well, I'm home now. It's gonna be fine. Alright, let's turn around. Cool. Shit, I gotta do something about the room. See, I don't have any lights in this room. I could use the computer light, I guess. There we go. Is it better now? Like I was saying that it's true that it's not an addiction in that case. Yeah. But it's a pretty valuable thought. Yeah. But there are ways to solve things more in a more like societal stage or a more universal stage, you could potentially say. Universal is a word I don't really like, because in philosophy you can say that would be true across like any other species and whatever. So I'm not a big fan of the word, but like if we're talking about mankind and the way we structure society and such, there are ways, I think, that could work for most of society. So if you consider the fact that most people are different, you would easily find that if you put in place a certain ideology, you would be, even if you'd be helping in the majority at some points, like let's say there's some ideology that solved the problem for 90% of the population and wouldn't solve it for 99 or 100. So most ideologies like tend to focus on different things and it harms different people. But there are ways, I'd say, that harm the least amount of people and benefit the most. And that is not with one ideology, that would be with combining several different solutions from different ideologies and creating a multi-system society. So that is kind of my idea where I'm going, what I'm going for. But the problem with that is, if you find a way to make the majority of the people happy, or at least have the capability of achieving as meaningful lives as possible, the problem arises. In our current system, there are people who would stop benefiting from that system. So those people would definitely not want such a system. So the people at the top of this system, let's say the top 1%, not all of them of course, some would understand that the other system would be
beneficial for mankind. So let's say people like Elon Musk would probably be for it, because he seems to be kind of utilitarian in that regard. But there are definitely people who wouldn't want it, who would do anything they could to stop it, because they like having all that power. So obviously there are people like that. But that's the type of way you could potentially, although it's not realistic right now, but you could potentially create different systems, and different people could move to said system to the area where said system is in place. So potentially, one example could be there's a lot of racial polarization between black people and white people in certain areas, and some white people don't want to be around black people, some black people don't want to be around white people and say that white people are the devil and whatever. And I think both groups are pretty extreme, or extremely extreme. But anyways, no, I don't agree with globalization either. So you could potentially have different systems in every society as well, in every country, potentially, or you could have different countries depending on the size. But let's say if we use America is pretty big, so you could potentially, when it comes to the black people and white people, one thing could be that you could have certain areas that would be only white and certain areas that would be only black for the people who definitely can't stand the others, so that you can avoid certain violence or whatever, and you would have the broader society being more, well, let's say, multicultural, where you'd potentially, well, where people would be more willing to get along, where you would have a bit of more of a meritocracy, so to say. And then you would also have different systems, so people learn in different ways, like in the education system. Current education system in most countries is quite similar, so it benefits the type of people who are like studying hard and studying by reading and such, generally speaking. So yeah, I think so too. Yeah, and I think you shouldn't force things onto others, and people should be able to move to a system that benefits them more or works for them, and so that you can help the highest amount of individuals possible. Like even in school, there are so many things you could do. So for some people that are doing kind of badly in school, where we've seen that some people watch YouTube videos and learn much better from that. So they ace their class, they ace their tests by just watching YouTube videos. I mean, that is pretty incredible, isn't it? While some prefer to read, some read really fast, some get everything from reading, some have like a more photographical memorization. So, I mean, potentially you could have different systems in that way. It's so awkward talking about my ideas here. Although it's my stream, but it's pretty interesting. So why it's weird for me? I mean, these are well, cause I don't wanna, like, you know the feeling of wanting to explain like your stance without sounding weird, and then you noticing that you're talking about it in an awkward way, and then it just starts your mind and you're like overthinking things. Like I overthink things a lot. It's my mind is on like full running all the time, like full oven. Okay, oven might not. Fuck. And I get these ideas in my head all the time, making me want to say like things that are awkward, cringe, or questionable. overly creative. Oh. There we go. Yeah, no, I definitely agree. To get your point across, or at least to try to formulate your thoughts in the best way possible, is good. And to understand others. Like, that is also one of the main components of making the world a better place. Like, I think there are a lot more people with the potential to understand others than the people who are trying to understand others today, due to indoctrination and other things. So I think mankind has potential. Not everyone. I don't think everyone has the potential to do that. I think a lot of people are incapable of seeing things from more than one point of view. But I think there are a lot of people who are capable of it. So trying to understand one another in different perspectives is crucial to be able to make the world a better place, I would say. So that means taking on any perspective, and that is what I've done. So I've spoken to all sorts of people. I've spoken to people with different philosophical stances, which is a bit the most annoying one for me to deal with is the one about free will. But yeah. But I've talked to Nazis, I've talked to communists, I've talked to anarchists, libertarians. Libertarians are very common online, by the way. And listen to different content and different ideas and where they stand and why they stand there. They're like, what is driving them in that ideology? Yes. I mean, yeah. So, would you agree that most of those idiots tend to see things from only one point of view and have a very hard time understanding others that are different from them? No, me neither. I think it's very difficult to label myself in terms of ideology because I don't agree with any ideology. I agree with certain parts of most ideologies. Like, there are certain parts that I can find beautiful in any ideology. I think I haven't seen every ideology, so don't give me some random ideology I've never heard of that will be like, no, I don't agree with anything here. That they can even explain why. Oh yeah. Like, explain why they're a part of, or why they're right, or oh yeah. I assume that's, yeah. But I'd probably, like, if I had to identify myself where I stand politically, I would have to do it in a philosophical manner. Like, I would have to go through philosophy to say where I stand. And that would be practical utilitarian, I'd say, for most part. So I care about the overall happiness and suffering. So, and the utilitarian ideas fit kind of well in my head. But that doesn't mean I take like actions to sacrifice others for the sake of, say, like making the majority happier. I think that's and also there are always better like ways. So utilitarians are often given these different examples, like you have A or B, and I think that all these examples are pretty stupid because as a utilitarian you should think outside of that and think of what you would do in that situation, like within like realistic expectations and such of the scenario given. And like some people just try to force you into a corner. Oh, would it be like there are two psychopaths that want to chop off the arms of 5 people, and so they put 100 people in a room and they offer $100,000 each to the 95 people so that they'll get to chop the hands off 5 people randomly. And that's like, so as a utilitarian, do you agree with that? And it's like, as a utilitarian, I think we should kill the 2 psychopaths. So it's kind of like the example I you know. And then the rest of the people can share like $90K each, or 90. I'm not gonna do math now. I drank a beer before. 93. Fuck. Stop trying. Is it 93.4K? No. Oh, I don't like being wrong when it comes to math. Fuck. So, as you can see, I'm a very awkward. I'm cringe. I'm awkward. I'm super emotional, and I have these grand goals, and I think of strength and stuff, and it's most people can't make sense of me, which is understandable, I guess. But I do appreciate the talk. You seem to have a broader view of reality than most people. Also, one thing that is super awkward, like if I talk in real life, is when I'm in groups and eye contact, it's fucking impossible for me. Like, it's easy one-on-ones. It's actually more awkward one-on-one, like through YouTube, than it is like talking one-on-one, like sitting like on the opposite side of each other on the table. For me, anyways. Yeah. You too. This was a longer stream than I had anticipated. Yeah. I'm fine with eye contact, like, when it comes to, like, one-on-ones, only one-on-ones, and it's, like, it's easier if it's a friend or someone, if there's some kind of mutual respect, so I know, like, oh, well, this will be chill, then it's fine. But otherwise it feels like any other scenario feels very uncomfortable. So weird. I'm looking at a fucking phone and I'm getting awkward. Yeah. Oh, yeah. Okay, yeah. No, I mean, that is pretty common for people. I think there was a study about the eye contact being so. Apparently, at least in those studies, this is a study, and I'm quoting JF, and it's a study about university students that have more trouble with. I guess it's. I think, like, this is a theory that I have, so I'm not entirely sure why, but I think this is my theory. My theory is that you take in different expressions when you're looking someone into the eyes or whatever, and you're looking at all their expressions and trying, your thoughts just keep, like, everything subconsciously starts moving, and it becomes very hard to, like. Hey, Trav. When you look at people, you never listen to them. Oh. I don't think I'm the same. I actually tend to, like, listen to them, but I tend to not maintain eye contact very much. Like, I look a little bit and then it's like, away. Depends on what kind of person it is. If it's a person I like, I don't really have with eye contact, I guess. So it's very strange. I always try to take this. You don't necessarily have to, but I tend to work on anything that I feel is detrimental to my goals, I guess. Because it benefits me to be able to just look anyone in the eye and to just get my points across and whatever, and understand and not get awkward or whatever. Like maintain composure. Yeah. I'm worried that I'm waking my dad. Shit. I think I'm gonna have to be more careful with the stream. Well, I mean, but we isn't necessarily bad. So I think that's pretty fine and pretty cool. Well, I mean, you should tell the people. No. It's like the evil part in the back of my head. You're like the evil guy, the devil on my shoulder telling me, wake him up. You should do it. It will be fun. But yeah, you should tell the people you're talking to, that, like, so they know if there's someone you talk to a lot, or is this just strangers, or is this everyone? Because if it's like normal friends, probably not best friends, but normal friends or whatever, then you should probably tell them that you have trouble doing that, and then they can ask you, or you could have some kind of, well, you'll solve things your way. I don't know. I'm sorry, I live myself into things people say very easily. It happens automatically. Fuck, this is a long stream. Fucking 53 minutes and 30 seconds so far. I wasn't expecting this. But at least the internet is better now, I guess. Everyone. Yeah. Okay. So it's just like occasionally. Yeah. Okay, I'm gonna have to. Bro, I woke him up. I'm sorry, I gotta go. Thanks for tuning in. Fair enough. Well, have a nice day /night/time unit. Cheers.